Hello, my friends. Welcome to the ThePCelitist. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepard.
And today we're doing a game review.
We are. In
What?
I know, in light of recent requests.
We don't do game reviews.
Yes, we do. In light of recent requests, people want to know what we are playing and what we think of what we are playing.
Right.
So this is our reintroduction into reviews. We haven't done one in a while. I think Kingdoms of Amalur was the last one we reviewed a few months ago.
We interviewed each other.
Yes.
Which one? Yeah, and people liked it.
Yeah, and that's traditionally what we had done because we were interested in playing some different games at different times. So rather than wait for the other person to also get the game and play it, we decided to do an interview format where a person who hadn't played it asked questions of that any normal person who hadn't played it would ask. But this time we're going to review Sniper Elite V2, which we now both have played. I played through the single-player campaign on my own, and then I played co-op through the campaign with Woodsie. We also have done some of a game mode called Overwatch, which we'll explain, and then I've also played the multiplayer. So we're going to give you our thoughts on Sniper Elite V2. Take it away.
It was fun. It's a good game. A lot of it came from the fact that I was playing with you the first way through, so I can't say I have a very clear opinion how it was alone, because playing with someone else is always more fun.
Yeah,
it's just magic.
Especially a game like that.
Yeah. There are things that are very good about the game, and it kind of led us to a larger discussion about gaming in general, and which we'll kind of get around to. And there's also things that the game didn't do very well, and a lot of that was around just the challenge I felt as to the player.
I think we'll just give you a background. World War II sniping game.
Oh, yeah.
You are basically trying to stop the Germans from launching a V2 rocket. You encounter the Russians also involved in the plot, so you kill both Germans and Russians. Sorry if I spoil anything. It's not really a big twist. And so you run on a series of, I think, 10 or 12 missions, something like that, through the campaign. A lot of baddies. And if you haven't seen... I've put footage of it, so if you haven't seen our prior videos, I have some footage of it, or you haven't seen it on YouTube. There's a slow motion cam that activates, and you can change the frequency of it. That shows you the bullet's path and what it does to the enemy's body. And it's just, some people think it's gimmicky and gets old, but it's just fantastic. Never gets old seeing the bullet enter above the left eye and explode the back of the head. It may make me a horrible person for being desensitized to that, but it's just delightful.
You're not desensitized, you love it.
That's true. Shut up. So that's like the crux of the game. So the single-player campaign, as I said, I did play it on my own, so I'll just give you my reflections very quick about the things I love about it. As I said, I love that slow-motion animation. I'm a sniping fanatic, and I love games that are about sniping, but I'm so frequently disappointed with them because they tend to be so linear and simplistic and blah, blah, blah. This game, I love the environment. The towns were blown to shit, which is what happened to most towns in Europe in World War II. The game world just looked so good. The game itself was linear; you couldn't go anywhere and do anything. But just the game world was wonderful. The detail of the debris and like bombers flying overhead and the sounds. The score was really good too. So there were a lot of thematic elements and environmental elements that I really liked. That was really the strong point of the game. It felt fairly immersive, not so much in the realism of the gameplay, but in the realism of the game world in which you played.
Right.
So that was a big positives for me. What did you think when we played? Well,
what did you think of the levels in the immersion factor? Did you feel like you were in a city and you could travel the city, or did you feel like you were on a path through
I felt
the
like
city?
I was on a path, and that's one thing that I was disappointed. Well, I said the aesthetics of the game world were wonderful. The size and scale were disappointing. It wouldn't seem appropriate to me for a sniper to be the one to do these missions because of how small the levels felt. Typically, you were sniping at about 300 meters at farthest. A lot of times, it's in the intermediate between 80 to 200 meters. So yeah, scope rifle could help with that, but it didn't really feel that appropriate to me to snipe because the game espoused that shoot 2 or 3 times and then displace. And there's even this like white hologram that shows up. Like if you shoot out of a window and then someone looks and sees you and you run away real quick, it kind of shows you this hologram of yourself, like the last position they saw you in, whatever.
Right.
Which I think is a little, kind of takes the immersion out. There's also like a point system that you get for like, headshot at 1,200 points. also takes out of the immersion, which is kind of lame. But you forget it's there after a while.
That's why I think that every company should look over all the guys that work on their UIs and fire half of them. I just want half the work they put out to be thrown away.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the level size and scale, it was a little disappointing. As I said, it did feel linear, but a big part of that is because if you completed getting to a certain checkpoint, it was like a yellow dot on the screen that showed you where the next checkpoint was, and that's the easiest and fastest way to make a game feel linear. It's go there. I don't care what you can stay around here and fool around, but that's where you go next. I'd rather be in a war-torn city, and I'm just going to follow this road. Hey, that door's open, that door's not. I'm going to go through the open door and see where that takes me. That stuff immerses me. So the immersion, it was spotty. You felt immersed in that the game world looked believable. Right. But the actual mechanics of going through, traversing, navigating, exploring the game world were not. So it was an unfortunate disappointment in terms of immersion.
It's not, and this is just if any game developers are listening, it's just flat out not immersive. If you say, okay, so we're going to put a big yellow dot on the objective to where you, not even on the objective, on every 20 feet,
It's not as bad as like the detective cam in Arkham Asylum, where you turn it on and this is where this is the scent. And then 15 feet away, there's the next one. But yeah, you complete an objective, then a yellow dot shows you have to go through some buildings, but it shows you go in that direction and get there however you can.
Right. And then I think they remedy that. Well, we're going to have an exploratory aspect to it because we're going to put hidden golden bars and bottles you have to shoot to make you actually look around.
Yeah, I'm going to force you to explore with an achievement.
That's just patchwork game development, in my opinion.
Yeah, another thing that's immersion for me, and this is a big FPS beef I have, it's unless you're a horrible shot, excuse me, they give you 100 rounds to begin, you should be able to complete every mission with 100 rounds. I don't care what mission you're on. Not to mention it'd be hard to carry that much ammo. Then there are random ammo boxes around, and if you're assaulting a base, for example, yes, ammo's going to be stockpiled. I want a game where my only ammo comes from the people I kill.
Right.
If they're using a different weapon, and there are other snipers in the game that you have to counter snipe. My ammo needs to come from them. If I run out of ammo, guess what? I have to use the Thompson from now on, or I have to use the silenced pistol they give me.
Right.
Don't just have it's just there's too much ammo, and some games do that, and it's frustrating because it makes me feel are you really taking 5 shots to kill each guy? Are you missing that much?
Well, I think that's
also some really cool bullet ballistics, by the way.
Is the problem that not the problem, but the discussion that we came to while we were eating lunch and discussing all of our PC Elitist stuff was they built a game world that had the chance to do all these great sniper elite type of things.
It gave you all the tools.
You built a great looking world. The beginning of each level is like Thief. The character has a monologue talking about what you're going to do, and then you have hand-drawn maps, and then you have an inventory section where you could have dynamite and mines and tripwires and all sorts of cool stuff. Things you never need when you actually get into the game. You never have to refer to your map.
Yeah, you can defeat the entire game without grenades, without mines.
Without tripwires.
Just your sniper rifle, really. And if you want to... you could play the game without being stealth at all. You can just shoot a guy and wait for everyone to come to you, and then just kind of melee, short, close quarters battle with your sniper rifle. The only thing that they did add to the game world is it's often very noisy in war, and it's a good and a bad with this as well. So if there's a bomb going off nearby, you can shoot when the bomb goes off, or when a tank fires, and no one will hear the shot. The problem is, the immersive thing, is when a sound goes off and when they want you to fire, these little sound wave vibration graphic goes off in the corner of your screen.
Right.
So it's like this, shoot when you see this in your screen, not wait patiently for the sound and then fire. It didn't feel as tactical as it could have been.
Right.
And again, we're criticizing the game, but overall it's still very fun. We're just explaining why it failed to be the ideal sniper game, which it easily could have been. You're about to get to how it had all the tools, it just failed to capitalize.
It had every tool to be the Thief of sniper games. It had just the environment was there. It had all the tools, and we were talking about, well, we could actually personally challenge ourselves to get through the game without shooting as much as we can. But these would be just these
we'd make up our own challenges.
Make up our own challenges when the game had such a great opportunity to challenge us directly, and the developers to have fun with us, try to figure out which guy to shoot at when this bomb is going off. to solve this puzzle. Maybe people would have criticized it for being more of a puzzle game.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the objective of this mission is not for you to kill everyone, because how realistic is it for a sniper, even in World War II, how realistic is it for a sniper to go in, we need you to assassinate this guy, and he probably has 20 guards with him.
Right.
We need to kill all of them as well. Maybe it's, we need you to go in and kill this guy, and then get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what's the best moment to kill him, and be far enough away to have a good shot, but, close enough to have a good shot, but far enough away to be able to escape. Like you went into it knowing it was I have to. That's the other thing. I have to kill every single person in this area in order to progress.
Yeah.
And to me, a sniper game should be you only need to kill as few people as possible.
Right. And why there wasn't a challenge mode put in the game or a difficulty level that said, oh, you can only kill your target. Or you only you have like 15 rounds in your gun. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
And the enemy's using different ammo, and they don't have scopes on their rifles. So you have to use this.
Yeah.
Then I would understand. But honestly, it feels like two different developers made this game. One developer started on this path to be a sniper elite game, and then another developer walked in and go, this is a first-person shooter, right? Like Call of Duty? Okay, let's finish it up real quick. Put some enemies, and you have to kill everyone.
Yeah, and then so I have one more note on the single-player aspect, and then we'll talk about the co-op and the multiplayer, and then also the challenge mode, the different challenge mode than what he's referring to that I really like as well. With regard to difficulty, the easiest mode is ridiculous in its easiness. There's no bullet drop, no ballistics. You aim exactly where you want to fire, no matter the range, and the enemies are just stupid. That's a problem. The second difficulty on normal, there is some bullet drop, though it's unrealistic. Over 300 meters, my bullet's not going to drop that much. But it's still fun that you have to calculate.
Right.
But the problem with the increasing difficulty, once you're on the hardest mode, you have to take into account bullet drop and crosswind, which is a challenge. But the AI is unrealistic. They see you in a window when they're not even really looking for you or looking at
right.
you. So there are some AI issues there. But really what the game feels more like is they cared more about giving you an entertaining turkey shoot than a tactical, I need to evade detection and capture here. So I felt that the turkey shoot aspect was fun because the way they let you kill people is fun.
Is fun, yeah.
But it could have been so much more. So that's kind of our summary of the single player. As I said, we played the co-op, which it's not not too different from the single player. You just have an extra body there, an extra set of eyes, which certainly helps. You can, through your binoculars, you can mark targets with a little red arrow over the guy, which. Again, immersion is kind of a factor. It's much more fun, and I can tell we played this way sometimes. It's much more fun for me to say to you on vent, 150 meters, 9 o'clock, guy coming down the road. Like, play it that way. You see that church tower over there off to the left.
Right.
I saw movement up there. Playing that way, and that's kind of what you were speaking to earlier. We had to challenge ourselves to do it that way. That wasn't really the game kind of, but to its credit, the game gave us the tools to do that. It put an enemy that far away, and I could detect its movement. So, yeah, it didn't have this mode where it challenged us to do these things, but at least gave us the ability to challenge ourselves.
It did have that.
To its credit, it had that.
Yes, that is true.
And I do like that this campaign for co-op is the exact same as a single player. They didn't just make this, here's the co-op campaign, you have 3 missions, go do them. It's the same game, same objectives. It's just, to me, it's how differently do you play this map now that you have 2 people. Right. I took comfort in the fact that we could kind of traverse different areas, but I did notice, and I know you noticed this as well, you get to a certain area and it says waiting for other player. We had to be only a certain distance from each other before we could progress.
Right.
Which kind of sucked. I would have liked.
But I like being right next to you, anyways.
I know. I would have liked get you up in the bell tower and I'm down below and get like a dual crossfire sort of way, so they don't know if there are 2 snipers or where they are. So that kind of leads me into a co-op mode called Overwatch, where one person is a spotter and has, I think, just a Thompson, and the other person is the sniper, and you have to work together to complete these 3 missions, which are hard for each player actually, and they're kind of phased in these waves of enemies approaching, and it's a great co-op that lets you challenge yourselves. It's really fun to play with a friend. You can do the challenge mode as well, which is really just how many waves of enemies can you survive on these 3 different maps.
Right.
So there's some continuity there. The single player is about it. I also think that they're both fun. It's not like, the single player sucked and multiplayer was good. You have any thoughts on the co-op or the Overwatch?
I think just the co-op mode, not the single player campaign co-op or the campaign co-op.
The ability to play with more than one player.
It was fun, and I'll kind of summarize kind of how I felt about the game, how it should be played in a sense, was I think the most fun we had in the game, or the most fun I had, was when we weren't shooting at people. When we were sneaking through and just marking enemies, like, oh, did you see that guy? I just saw a guy walk through here. Did you see him? And we were trying to figure out their patterns together, and when we would coordinate shots.
Yeah, you take the guy on the left, I take the guy on the right, waiting for guys to walk in front of each other so you can get 2 kills with 1 bullet.
Right. So the waiting game to me was the most fun. The Overwatch mode was fun too, though I wish it was more of a dissection of a puzzle. It was kind of like you spotting and just pulling the trigger as fast as you can. And it was fun because there was a challenge to it at some point. Like tanks would show up and we're like, what do we do?
What we actually discovered is that people went for the spotter, not the sniper, because the spotter was the one who was out there trying to get all the angles and gain some visibility.
Well, that was cool that they gave the spotter objectives, so you had to be kind of running around the map.
Yeah, the spotter had to go get a map, go plant a bomb. Something like that. Yeah, you're right.
The other guy's covering him.
Yeah, and not just kind of sitting in a tower saying, 3 more guys come into the building. And finally, I'll say a note about the multiplayer. The multiplayer is actually refreshing. It's not at all run and gun. It's not at all a kill fest. It is incredibly quiet and patient. And especially when you play on hardest mode, because you have to account for bullet drop and crosswind. And it's remarkably difficult when people frequently are far away from each other or they're moving to account for those things, while trying to fire as few bullets as possible to not give away your position. So the multiplayer, and I have to warn you, it's a change of pace, and you have to be ready for it. If you're not, you're probably going to hate it. You may go around that lasts 30 minutes having 1 or 2 kills.
Right.
But if you accomplish your objective by making sure the enemy knows, don't go out there because the last 3 guys that went out there died.
Right.
You helped your team.
This is in the multiplayer against other players.
Yeah, against other players. So there's team deathmatch, and there's also just deathmatch, where it's like 8 different snipers, every man for himself.
Right.
Which is also very nerve-wracking. No one wants to move. And actually, I was surprised. I thought everyone would be camping. But no, people want to get kills in this game. It's like an accomplishment to get a kill in that game. So people are actually moving around. Like, I haven't seen anyone in 2 minutes. I'm going to move. Clearly no one's moving.
Right.
So I actually thought it would just be everyone go to a corner of the map and no one's in the middle. I spend most of my time in the middle in the second story of a blown out building. Because people aren't really going to spend time looking up into that building because they know they're going to get shot from every other corner.
Right.
So it's a refreshing, entertaining multiplayer, to be sure. And I mean, I've played maybe 8 hours of it, 10 hours of it, and it's really fun so far. Some of the maps are a little small. I think just in general, I wish the game were bigger, because a sniping map, it should allow you to pull off that long distance shot.
Right.
I think I did kill a guy at like almost 500 meters, and I pressed escape. I left the server, and I got up and just walked around my apartment and just felt... It was just one of those moments where you couldn't believe you pulled that shot off. Headshot, too. Anyway, we all have those moments.
Run it. This is...
Shut up.
Sorry. So anyway.
Those are our thoughts. Sniper Elite V2. When we review games, we tend to give you all of our thoughts on them. But it's comprehensive. We try and cover everything we can, let you know what we like about it, don't like about it. Please, if you have already played this game or you were interested in getting it, I do recommend it, though Steam does put it on sale sometimes. It was just $16 a few weekends ago, and they may do it again, so just keep your eyes out for that.
Right. Unfortunately, like any game, it does lose points for not having a attack launcher in it.
That's true. Nuclear weapons should always be available in handheld fashion.
Yes.
In World War II.
So, no game here at the PCelitist can get a perfect score until there's a attack launcher in the game.
That's why Crysis is the only 10 we've ever given. Anyway, let us know what you think of the game, or what you think of the review. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments or send us a message.
I am Woodsie.
My name is Shepard. This is the PCelitist, signing out.